Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very glad you're here. I am George Leventhal. I'm chairman of the Montgomery County Council's Health and Human Services Committee. We have good news today. It's good news for the holidays. I'm sorry, I didn't expect that would happen. Earlier this year, a coordinated effort between nonprofit service providers and Montgomery County government identified 58 homeless veterans, individuals who served our country in the armed forces, armed services, 58 who were homeless, living rough, living in the streets, living in the woods, living in their cars. And our goal, inspired by President Obama, was to find housing for all 58 of them, and we've achieved that. We've identified housing for every identified formerly homeless veteran in Montgomery County. Now, this is a tremendous accomplishment, of course, for our nonprofit service providers who are on the front lines every day. There are many of them, but the effort has been led by the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless, represented here by Susie Sinclair Smith, and Bethesda Cares, represented here by Susan Kirk. It's a tremendous accomplishment for Montgomery County government, which identified a goal and met it. It's a specific accomplishment for the County Council, which added $500,000 to the budget, and of the 58 homes that we found, 18 are being paid for through those $500,000 added to the budget by the County Council and retained during our struggle over the savings plan. But I think most importantly, it's yet another thing that our community can take great pride in. We are an enlightened community, and we believe in the power of government to solve problems. And there is no problem more compelling for government to solve than the circumstances facing those who have the least, those who literally don't have a roof over their heads. This is government that works. This is what it means to set an objective and meet it. And so 58 people who have served our country will be home for the holidays. We got this done together. We had tremendous unity on the County Council on this issue. When we discussed our savings plan, this was a top priority for all 9 council members. This was important to us. It's important to our community. It's important to the United States. Homelessness is a persistent challenge, and it stubbornly persists even though we've set goal after goal as a nation and as a community. We adopted our first 10-year plan in 2002 to end homelessness. 2012 rolled around. 10 years later, we had not ended homelessness. We participated in the 100,000 Homes campaign to end chronic homelessness. More than 100,000 homes were found nationally, and many dozens of homes were found here in Montgomery County, and yet chronic homelessness stubbornly persists. I'm sorry that nationwide, veterans' homelessness still persists, although President Obama issued this goal, which we have met, to house every identified homeless veteran. The problem stubbornly persists, but what we've learned from this effort to house homeless veterans will assist in our efforts to house the entire universe of clients experiencing homeless. Our agencies are working more closely together than ever before, public and private. We have a new interagency commission on homelessness, which includes our county government, our municipalities, our police department, our school system, our Housing Opportunities Commission, represented here today by Rita Harris, and the nonprofit service providers, among whom I've mentioned, and others. And we're sharing best practices. We're learning from other communities' successes, and I'm just so proud and gratified that we've achieved this milestone this year. Veterans are a little bit easier to house than other clients because the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs makes housing vouchers available that are not available for other categories of clients. We got tremendous help from Congressman Chris Van Hollen, represented here by his district director, Joan Kleinman. He's been an enormous asset working with the Department of Veterans Affairs to draw down those vouchers and connect federal vouchers, Department of Veterans Affairs, Housing and Urban Development, Housing Choice vouchers, with our ability here in the county, the Housing Opportunities Commission, our rapid rehousing programs, our permanent housing programs, and then the special money that the County Council added. It's a combination of resources that we brought together to achieve this milestone goal. And it never could have happened had the county council not made this a priority and worked together in unity. Every single council member has been involved in this effort. It is holiday week, so not all of them could be here. Some of them are represented here by staff. Berta Flores is representing Councilmember Nancy Navarro, a great partner and supporter. Warren Hansen is here representing Roger Berliner, a member of the HHS committee and a great partner and supporter, and one of our strongest proponents of assisting these clients who need the most help from government. I'm going to call on him now, my very good friend, colleague on the HHS committee, Councilmember Craig Rice.
So let me first start off by saying thank you to a true champion. And we talked about this a couple days ago, but Councilmember Leventhal, when I first joined the council, said, you know, it's going to be very rewarding being on the Health and Human Services committee. And I said, well, George, you know, it sounds great. All of these things sound like worthy causes. He said, no, I'm telling you, you will get so much from being a part of this committee because you truly get to make a difference. And coming from Annapolis, a place where we focus on a lot of overarching policy, it's great to see things actually come to fruition. And today, we're seeing just that. We're seeing something that was an overarching policy come to fruition, and it means the difference in people's lives. You know, my father served in the Marine Corps in Vietnam, and one of the core principles is never leave a man behind. Unfortunately, a lot of times we forget that and think that that only is on the battlefield. But in reality, it exists right here at home. We never want to leave any man or woman behind. We have a responsibility as a government to make sure that we're assisting and helping all those that are in need. And during this holiday season, it's even more important for us to remember this. And so it brings me such delight to be able to be here with such a great stalwart and champion who opened my eyes to how much great work can be done, but also that still needs to be done. We have a great celebration in being able to say that we have effectively ended homelessness for our identified veterans here in Montgomery County. But the reality is that this week there will be women and children and men that continue to live on the streets, that while we are holding hands and saying grace around the table and having meals, we'll be huddled around pit fires and eating their dinners out of cans. That's the reality that still exists. And so we have to keep fighting to make sure that the great things that we've been able to afford to some of the men that are here today with us and the many men and women that have served our country doesn't go as the last step for us. This is the beginning. And it really shows what we can do if we work together and we work hard and say that we will not accept no as an answer. Yes, we will house our homeless. Yes, we will make sure that everyone who identifies and wants to have a home can have a place to live, have a place to celebrate with their family during the holidays, a place where they put in the key in that lock and they know that they're safe. Those are things that many of us in this community take for granted, but I'm so fortunate to be blessed to serve with people on this council who don't, and people in this government and this community who don't. And so on this, in a time when we're thankful, I want to thank all of the members of this community because we all came together, and it truly is what represents the spirit of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you, Craig. Next, I'm going to call a gentleman who's new to the county council, but he brings to the county council 36 years in local elected office. And I want to say that the city of Gaithersburg deserves special recognition. Alone among our municipalities, the city of Gaithersburg has put its own resources in a very significant way to day-to-day hands-on delivery of social services for those who have experienced homelessness, for those who are struggling with substance abuse and mental illness, and former Mayor Sidney Katz was a leader at the City of Gaithersburg. He's been a leader here at the County Council. Councilmember Sidney Katz.
Thank you very much, George. And I, too, am here today to say thank you to all involved, and especially George and Craig and the HHS committee. I know, as George has mentioned, I've seen it firsthand. There's people that I went to high school with that were homeless. And of course, when that happens, it's your family that's happened to. And we work diligently to help alleviate that. George was certainly involved 4 years ago when the city of Gaithersburg had a homeless resource fair. It's now going on for 4 years at the Boer Activity Center in Gaithersburg. And when the first year that we had it, people said, really, in Montgomery County, you think that there's going to be people that need this resource fair? And really, in Montgomery County, we did need that fair, and we continue to need that fair. We just recently had it about a month or so ago. Today is really a remarkable milestone for all of Montgomery County, because we've done what we said that we set out to do, that we've worked together with there's so many partners, and we proved that when we work together with partners, we can achieve what many others cannot achieve, and that's that our veterans who have risked so much for all of us to be where we are, that they now will be able to be in a place where we're pleased that they will be in, that they will have their own homes. But our mission cannot stop today. Today is a day for applause, but it's certainly not as Craig has mentioned, it's not the end of what we need to do. We all need to continue to work together to join hands again to make certain that homeless is not in Montgomery County and that there are no homeless beyond that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Katz. Another great champion for affordable housing, for taking care of the needs of those who need the most from government. Another new member of the County Council, but who brings many years of experience in elected office and community leadership, Councilmember Tom Hucker.
Thank you, George. I don't have much to add, but I first want to salute Councilmember Leventhal, because this was a tremendous first year on the council, I know, for me and Councilmember Katz as well. And we took action to keep our kids safe with pesticides. We took action to keep our workers safe. This is an amazing capstone achievement to the year of Leventhal, 2015. We've had our changing of the guard, but I really want to salute George for his leadership on this. And this is a tremendous achievement just in time for the White House's imposed deadline on this initiative. Second, this is very important. This issue, veterans issues generally, are very important in my district. They're very important to me personally, and there's a stark irony, and it's very disappointing that while my grandfather came back from World War I, he was at a time of rampant discrimination against Irish Catholics. His status as a veteran helped him to find a job in the public sector. When my father returned from World War II, his status not only allowed him to receive a subsidized house, he was able to go to college for 4 years, as did hundreds of thousands of other veterans. And it's such a shame that we don't have the same, in a far richer country now than we were in 1945, we don't have the same generosity of spirit and programs. We don't feel the same responsibility to our veterans that the country did back then. But at the same time, I'm very proud, as Craig and George said, of Montgomery County, that we are now stepping into a breach that's been left by the federal government. As we have on environmental policy, immigration policy, healthcare policy, we've stepped into a void that's been left by the federal government. Notwithstanding the leadership of the Obama administration on this initiative, we are stepping up for our veterans and doing the right thing. I'm very proud of Montgomery County, our policymakers, but especially the generosity of our taxpayers to get us to this day. So thank you, George, again for your initiative, and thank you to the veterans that are here.
Thank you, Tom. So we threw this event together this morning. We figured it was important to do it Christmas week before even more people left for vacation, and we feel it's such a great opportunity to say Merry Christmas to our veterans. And because we threw it together somewhat at the last minute, not everybody's schedule could be accommodated. I spoke Friday with our great Congressman Chris Van Hollen. Our success would not have been possible had we not been able to get vouchers from so many different sources, very much including the Department of Veterans Affairs, very much secured through Congressman Chris Van Hollen's intervention. He's visiting all 8 congressional districts in Maryland nowadays. He's not just representing the 8th congressional delegation district, but his responsiveness to constituents, his effectiveness, his issue knowledge, his advocacy is why so many of us hope that he will be our next U.S. Senator. And his district director, Joan Kleiman, is here, and I hope she'll say a word on his behalf.
Yay. Thank you, Councilmember Leventhal. It's a pleasure to be here. And this is a testament to what happens when partners work together. A problem existed. It was brought to our office that VASH vouchers from the Department of Veterans Affairs were not being distributed to Montgomery County. Congressman Van Hollen, with the incredibly able assistance of Ann Humphrey, who joins us up here, worked to make sure that these vouchers came to Montgomery County in their fair share. And year after year, the congressman pushed to make that happen. And it was through that collaboration with Bethesda Cares and the Coalition for the Homeless and the county and the state partners, we saw that the federal government can actually do something right. And it's nice that we have that kind of effectiveness to celebrate today. Montgomery County, again, is a leader for the nation. And thank you to the County Council for helping to make this day possible.
Thank you, Joan. So many of us have the great blessing of taking pride in these accomplishments, but no one has more right to take pride in these accomplishments than our nonprofit service providers. This effort it continues to involve many, many different nonprofit service providers, but the two that are in the lead are represented here. I'm going to ask them to come up together. They and their staffs are working day to day to meet these clients, to understand their circumstances, to ascertain their eligibility for benefits. This is a difficult client population to work with, some easy to work with, some very, very challenged, some don't want to accept help. And so, it's very circumstantial. I've interviewed many, many homeless clients, and no two are the same. Each one is suffered bad luck and a sequence of events that has led to circumstances that I don't think any of us could imagine for ourselves or our families. And I'm just so appreciative and proud of their work, and I'd like them to come up together. Susie Sinclair Smith, representing the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless, and Susan Kirk, representing Bethesda Cares.
We did it! All of us. All of us. So I just, you got me going a little bit, George. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not going to lose it. But we have really done it in Montgomery County. And we started out this audacious goal at the beginning of the year. And without the passion, the dedication, the support we have throughout the whole community, all of our community partners, we would not have been able to do this. So we feel I can speak, I think, for both of us, so we feel very honored to be up here representing the community and our nonprofit partners. There were 3 ingredients that made this a possibility, and we're excited that we had these learnings and we want to apply them to new populations. One is that we knew every single veteran who was experiencing homelessness in Montgomery County. There's a room full of people in here that I'm looking at who kept a day-by-day list of who the veterans were who came into homelessness, what kind of housing they needed, and then helped us place the veterans in the appropriate housing options. Some veterans need deep rental assistance, some veterans just need a helping hand up, and we knew exactly what kind of housing option they needed. We also had the resources to do it. Because we knew that we had a specific group of veterans and we knew that we'd be seeing more veterans coming in each month, we knew we had our federal resources that were available for veterans who were eligible for them, but there are a lot of veterans who experience homelessness who are not eligible for VA benefits for a range of reasons. So the county funding, $500,000, which was split between us, we were very fortunate, was to fill the gap for those veterans who could not access the resources that they were entitled to. We also had the political will and sense of urgency. I think it reminds me of when Katrina happened. We knew that we had to end veteran homelessness by the end of this year, and we did it. We knew that we were working with 2 national campaigns who had that deadline. We worked with them day in and day out. We were determined. We have never placed people in housing so quickly before in our life. And that was possible because a lot of systems changed. At the VA, veterans' status was determined within 24 hours. Our Housing Opportunities Commission dedicated a single person there to process the applications. Also, we could submit applications that weren't entirely complete, but we knew that we were going to get the birth certificates and everything. And HHS, our Department of Health and Human Services, was very flexible with their funding. So we could fill in gaps. If funding didn't come this way, we used it as a bridge financing until the permanent subsidy came. So without these important partners, and then George Leventhal calling us up every day and saying, "Where are you?" We did it. But we know that everybody agrees that no person who served our country in the armed forces should experience homelessness. But as you've heard today, there are many other populations who do experience it. We plan to take the lessons that we've learned from this and to apply it to other populations. We have chronically homeless individuals who've been on the street for long periods of time. We want to end their homelessness. Amen. We have youth between the ages of 18 and 24, increasing numbers in our shelters. We want to end their homelessness. We also have families who are experiencing homelessness. We want to end their homelessness. And we are going to do that with the same rigor and determination and focus as a community that we did with this. I just can't speak more positively about the public-private partnership that we had. Government is awesome at certain activities and getting certain parts of the job done, but the nonprofit sector is also awesome, and we have more flexibility. We were able to leverage about $16,500 worth in-kind furnishings for our veterans when they moved in. The community just adopted us, made themselves available the day of the move. So again, I just want to applaud all of us coming together and making this possible, and it's a true honor. And I firmly believe that if any place can end homelessness, it's Montgomery County, Maryland.
And here, here. I also want to add, as part of Bethesda Cares, to give you a little historical context. 19 years ago, the VA estimated that out of the 800,000 people at the time, adult individuals who were homeless, 1/3 were veterans. They realized that must have been doing something wrong. We're great at turning civilians into soldiers, but less so in turning them back into civilians. And it's been a limp along, like George has said. It's piecemeal, we try it. Then President Bush reinvigorated the Interagency Commission on Homelessness, so at least they were talking. And then in 2010, Congressman Van Hollen went to bat, and literally went to bat. He went to Secretary Shinseki office to get the VASH vouchers for us so that we could begin the farm time. Outreach is a huge part. That's what we do. Kudos to John Mendez and to Daniel Goodman, who are out on the street at 2 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, finding people that are living, experiencing homelessness outside. It's huge to be able to get that list, to know who's out there. You can't house people you don't know. And to our veterans who serve, thank you so very much for your service. Also, thank you very much for leading the way, because we know what it takes to take all these pieces and make it into a smooth re-entry to get people housed. So we look forward to ending not maintaining, but ending homelessness. It's huge. Think about it. 250,000 veterans down to no veterans. Yay. So congratulations. Thank you so much. The political will, of course, was the big motivator and the unifier for us, and we appreciate it. I wear a quote from Rumi because it speaks to me, but this event speaks louder. And it says, only through the heart can you touch the sky, and we have touched the sky. So thank you very much, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Susan. Well done. We have two department heads here. Clarence Snuggs has arrived from the Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Mr. Snuggs, please come forward. Representing our county executive, Ike Leggett. I appreciated the compliment from my colleague, Councilmember Tom Hucker, but we actually, in Montgomery County, did designate 2015 as a year. We designated it as the Year of the Veteran. We gave thanks to our Vietnam veterans in an important program at the University of Maryland at Shady Grove, the universities at Shady Grove. And this year, at the end of the year, we're accomplishing what I think is the most gratifying goal of all, which is that no veteran in Montgomery County will be homeless. And you'll hear a fair amount about this concept of functional zero. We know that given the circumstances in people's lives, marriages, health issues, clients will become homeless again in the future, and veterans, again, will become homeless in the future. When we talk about ending homelessness, and when we talk about achieving the goal of functional zero, what that means is we have systems in place now so that where a veteran who became homeless in Montgomery County presents to our continuum of care, those agencies that work together, we will prioritize that veteran and we will have the resources available to house that veteran. It is also important to clarify that Montgomery County takes as its responsibility working to find housing for clients who became homeless in Montgomery County. Montgomery County does not have the wherewithal, nor are we going to house every homeless person everywhere. So there is intake that takes place. We do assess clients' circumstances, and we do ascertain what benefits they're eligible for and whether they're eligible for housing in Montgomery County. We are not going to be the source of housing for every homeless person in the Mid-Atlantic region or in the United States. We are responsible, and we are going to continue to work to make sure that no one who became homeless in Montgomery County has to remain homeless, and we're going to hope to achieve functional zero. We've already achieved it for veterans, and as Susie Sinclair Smith said, we want to achieve it for these other homeless populations as well. And so now I'm going to ask the Director of Health and Human Services to join the Director of Housing and Community Affairs to make remarks on behalf of County Executive Ike Leggett, Uma Alawalya, and Clarence Snuggs.
Well, good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from the county executive. He could not be here this morning, but he's a Vietnam vet himself and has a great commitment to the veterans populations. It was under his leadership, along with county council, that the Veterans Commission was created with advocacy for supports for veterans and their families. So this is a great moment, one that he takes great pride and pleasure in. And I have to say, though, that this is a truly collaborative effort. And if there was not the steadfast leadership of Chair Leventhal, and he and I have worked together over many, many years, and I have to say, there is no one more committed to issues of homelessness than George Leventhal standing over here today. So I want to say thank you to him. When Craig Rice joined the HHS committee, he turned into another huge supporter of homeless issues. They go out for point-in-time surveys in the middle of the night. They are out there, truly, truly understanding the issues. And we're very grateful to this county council for the level of support they've provided to veterans and to the issue of homelessness. But we really couldn't have done this without two other public sector partners. Clarence is standing right next to me from DHCA. And Stacy Spann hasn't arrived yet, but I have to tell you, there is, and I say this with great, great joy, that there is such a newly inspired Housing Opportunities Commission now. To hear of government and nonprofit not just collaborating, but to hear government as called as being flexible and a good partner is a moment of great joy for me, and one I will cherish greatly. So to Susie and to Sue Kirk, I have to say thank you so much. These two organizations have been invaluable. Their staff and our staff have been working very, very closely together. To call out individual folks, I think that time isn't enough, but they're all in this room. And if you ever have a moment to say hello to folks who've done extraordinary work from all of these entities, I can't tell you how grateful we are to them for their work. So we started out by doing housing first, then we did 100,000 homes, then we're doing Zero 2016. And it's just a marching forward, right? There are things to be done. There are families to be served. There are households to be taken care of. And we're here. We have our marching orders from both George and Susie. We have to achieve functional zero for all households experiencing homelessness over some period of time that is not in the not-too-distant future, right? So here we are. Our commitment is there to continue to work, to be flexible, and to join hands with anybody and everybody who's interested in working with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Uma. Thank you. Mr. Clayton Barnett is here representing the population of veterans who we have recently found housing. I know there are other veterans in the audience, and they may feel free to join Mr. Barnett or not. We're very cognizant of the need for privacy of these clients. These are people who have experienced a lot in their lives, as we all have, and we don't want to embarrass anyone or put them in a situation in which they're uncomfortable. So, Mr. Barnett, please come forward. If there are any other veterans here who would like to join Mr. Barnett, they're welcome or not as they choose. And Mr. Barnett, Ishmael Meredith is here. Thank you, sir. So please feel free to join us as you see fit. Mr. Barnett?
If it's okay, I'm going to let Mr. Ishmael go first. He said he wanted to say something.
Oh, okay. Ishmael, I'm sorry, your last name again, sir?
Meredith?
Ishmael Meredith. It's my first time meeting you, but I want to say to you, Mr. Meredith, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good morning, and thank you all. I just wanted to first and foremost thank Mr. Leventhal for because I was told by my case manager, Joanna, that you had started this program, or maybe God sent you a dream or something like that. But I just want to thank you so much for doing that program and let everyone in here know that I'm sure you all already know this is the greatest country on earth. I come from a family of veterans. My father was a Marine. My brothers, two of us were in the Army. The other 4 of us were in the Navy. One is still in the Navy. He's going to Syria sometime soon. My younger sister's thinking about going back into the Marine Corps. I didn't know what much to expect when I joined the Army, but I knew they would turn me into, I went in there thinking I'm going to go into the Army and learn how to be a better man, a good man, like my dad did and stuff like that. I went in 2 months later, the Twin Towers got bombed. I wasn't out of basic training yet. So it was kind of hectic in there. But one thing, one of the best things I took from my time in the service was that everyone, you know, you may grow up hearing things or experiencing different things from, you know, different backgrounds. But when you're in a time of, when you're in the Army or the military and we're at war and your life is in danger on various missions or things that you may be doing, culture, where you come from doesn't matter, what you grew up with didn't matter, the kind of music you listened to didn't matter, none of that kind of things didn't matter. All that mattered was we were going to keep each other safe and accomplish our mission. So I'm just so grateful to all the members here, if any of you had anything to do with this program that was started in the county, because literally there are probably more of us like that. But I remember, I know Jesus said, when he was telling us how to pray, he said, go somewhere in secret and say a prayer and mean it, and God will answer you openly in public, right? And that's exactly what I did. I've been praying all year for 3 years. Me and my family, my son Raphael and Harmony, and my fiance Ebony, we've been going through hard times, living from pillar to post. I've been trying to keep work. I've been trying to stay out of trouble. And, you know, there were times where I'd be alone. It'd be just me and him, and I'd be praying, and all my tears would be falling on him. And we'd be praying together. God said 2 or more are there, he'll hear you. So if anyone in here that had to do with this program doesn't believe that God is using you, that God is using you, he used you to answer someone's prayers. He used you to answer my prayers, because I got on my knees and I prayed. I said, God, help me get a place for me and my family to live. And I'll be good there, we'll be good there, we'll glorify you, and we'll do what we have to do to be good and contributing members of this community. Because it's the worst situation to be in sometimes in life, is having so many things in your heart to do good, or so many ideas and things to do good. You want to do this for your community, do this for those young people or anything like that, but not having the means to do it, or not having anyone to champion your cause for you to do it. So you all may look at me or my brother who was in Fallujah. He got shot there. He's about 3 times my size, so he's okay. But still, you may think we're heroes, but you all are the real heroes sometimes, because sometimes some people slip through the cracks. A lot of soldiers got hurt on the way to the war. They never even made it to Afghanistan or Iraq. They got injured on, you know, getting stuff over there, or, you know, as things were all crazy in the process. So, and some people get forgot about, but it's people like you, Mr. Leventhal, and Johanna, and Stephanie, and Debbie, and everyone that helped. That it's you all that really make a lot of people not give up. A lot of young people, veterans, they meet people like you, and that stops their course from whatever they were on. They might have been ready to lose their mind a week later or something like that, because they feel like no one's out here or no one's thinking about them and stuff like that. So from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my family's heart, my children's heart, I thank all of you, and I pray that God bless you all and have you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. Well, we've taken a long time. We've taken a lot of the media's time, but I think we're all feeling good this morning, and so we wanted to take this time to celebrate a real accomplishment. We'll pause and take any questions from... I have another veteran who wants to speak. Well, fantastic. Mr. Barnett. We'd love to hear from you, Mr. Barnett.
Yes, my name is Clayton Barnett, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you all helped me to get on my feet. You know, time is a terrible thing to waste. When I was out there on the street, I was wasting a lot of time. Now that I have a place, I'm using my time more wisely. And I'm waking up in the morning, I'm singing in the evening. If it's okay, I'd like to sing a short song about time. There's a time to be born and a time to die. A time to laugh and a time to cry. But don't waste precious time away, 'cause death is sure to come someday. Oh, time is a terrible thing to waste. You may think that you may have tomorrow, but the end of time is drawing by. No one knows the day nor the hour that Jesus will come in a twinkling of an eye, twinkling of an eye. Oh, so get your house in order. Don't waste time and do it slow. 'Cause if you're not ready when Jesus comes, to hell your soul will surely go. Don't waste precious time away, 'cause death is sure to come someday. Oh, time is a terrible thing to waste.
All right, thank you. All right, that was veteran Clayton Barnett. We saved the best for last. We're ready to take any questions from members of the media. Any questions? Yes, please.
Hey everybody, Andrea McCarran from WUSA and Bunce, the service dog I'm raising for a wounded warrior. You, sir, thank you for your service. He's from the Semper Fi litter. Hoorah! Hoorah. Good question for you, sir. How unique is it for Montgomery County compared to the rest of the country to be able to find housing for all of its veterans?
I am optimistic that other communities will also be making announcements this weekend, next week. There was a national goal of ending homelessness this calendar year. We have not achieved that goal throughout the United States, but it was a very important priority for President Obama, for the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. I was aware in the last few days of one community, the community of Rockford, Illinois, that satisfied all the paperwork and met all the tests. Keep watching, because I think in the next several days in communities across the United States, you're going to be seeing other communities making this happy announcement. Unfortunately, we have not achieved the goal nationwide, but we're gratified to have made it here in Montgomery County.
And just as a follow-up, and this may be one of the nonprofits may be able to address this, and that is it must have been very difficult to identify the homeless. And some of them may not have wanted to get into housing for various issues related to mental health and so forth.
Let me let Susie Sinclair Smith, Executive Director of the Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless, answer that.
I think Sue can also add her comments. We run the May Men's Emergency Shelter in Montgomery County. We transformed the way we identified veterans who came into our shelter, and not by asking, are you a veteran, did you serve, but there are various ways that you can ask questions, because some people do not want to be connected to the VA because of the trauma that they experienced. But I can say, and we worked with so many groups throughout the county. Everyone knew they had to identify a veteran who's experiencing homelessness who came into their service system. So we feel very comfortable that we know every single veteran. And we feel very comfortable that we have 6 left on our list, which is the functional zero that George Leventhal was talking about. All of them have a permanent housing plan, and we expect them to move into permanent housing before the end of the year.
Please.
So, Tish Thompson, NBC4, you all designated a big chunk of money to do this, $500,000, and we're able to do it, from what everyone said, by relying on a lot of federal funding as well. So the next challenge is the people who don't get federal funding. Does Montgomery County Council plan to designate a larger amount of money? How do you take on the rest of homelessness?
Right. So, I mean, what you see in communities, including ours, that have achieved success is a combination of resources. From the federal government, we'd like to get help from state government, we get some, and a local commitment as well, and a broad commitment from charities and nonprofit service providers. That's what it's going to take. The executive has consistently included funds in his budget for the Housing Initiative Fund, for rapid rehousing, for permanent supportive housing. We drew upon those resources that have been in the county's budget for many years. The county council added funds to the budget for this specific purpose, the $500,000. We're going to assess the situation each year, and we're going to assess our available resources each year. We don't have unlimited funds, but we believe that it's our commitment that if you became homeless in Montgomery County, it actually costs us less to house that client than it does to have that client relying on emergency services, getting incarcerated, going to emergency rooms for care. There's a wide range of ways in which homeless clients draw upon public resources. It's much more effective and less expensive to house those clients. So yes, in the future, we're going to continue to add resources within the resources that we have. It's a fundamental commitment that we've made.
Do you see there ever being an amount spent like $500,000, or is that a low point and you'd like to see it increase from there?
Well, the $500,000 stays in the budget because these are permanent subsidies. Once you identify housing, we hope that many of these individuals, and certainly the men who we've met today, have the wherewithal to become self-sufficient. We want to see people succeed and move on in life and maybe acquire even bigger, better housing. But some, because of their disability, many of their service-related circumstances, will continue to get permanent disability help from the federal government and may likely need permanent housing assistance from the county government. So the $500,000 is an ongoing commitment to keep these people housed. We're not just housing them this year and then they're on their own. So does that answer your question?
Well, for everyone
But
else,
we're going to
if you're not a vet, do you put it?
we are going to continue to maintain a robust relationship with available federal resources. We need more help from the federal government. We need a federal government that is continually dedicated to assisting people with their housing needs. We need help from the state government. We have an enlightened and conscientious county government. We have strong support from the nonprofit and charitable sectors, the religious community. So we're going to continue to draw upon all of those supports. Go ahead. Of the veteran community, maybe do you have that answer?
Montgomery County Coalition for the Homeless received funding to provide permanent supportive housing for households, whereas Bethesda Cares received funding for rapid rehousing, which is not as, more short-term assistance, but for those veterans who didn't need the deeper rental assistance. We were very fortunate to have 10 housing choice vouchers prioritized by our housing authority. 5 of those are dedicated for family households, and to date we have moved in 7, I'm looking at our expert over here, 7 families. But for us, we've moved in 3 out of our 10 housing choice vouchers that were prioritized.
Oh, okay. So of 58 identified veterans, 51 are single, 7 have families. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for being here. Obviously, we're very happy to announce this milestone, and we're glad you could join us for this happy event.